6. Yes, ma'am. 7.
Yes, ma'am.
8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 14.
Yes, ma'am.
15. 18. 19. Yes, ma'am. 20. Yes, ma'am. 21.
Yes, ma'am.
22.
Yes, ma'am.
23.
Present, ma'am.
24. 25. 27. Yes, ma'am. 28. 34. 35. Yes, ma'am. 37. Yes, ma'am. 39. 46. 48. 50. 51. Yes, ma'am. 52.
Present, ma'am.
53. 54. 55. 57. Yes, ma'am. 59. Yes, ma'am. 60. Yes, ma'am. 62. 63. 65. 66. Yes, ma'am. 67. Yes, ma'am. 68.
Yes, ma'am.
69.
Yes, ma'am.
70. 71. Yes, ma'am. 72.
Yes, ma'am.
73. 74. Yes, ma'am. 75.
Yes, ma'am.
76.
Yes, ma'am.
77.
Yes, ma'am.
78.
Yes, ma'am.
79.
Yes, ma'am.
80.
Yes, ma'am.
81.
Yes, ma'am.
82.
Yes, ma'am.
83.
Yes, ma'am.
84. 85.
Yes, ma'am.
86.
Yes, ma'am.
87.
Yes, ma'am.
90.
Yes, ma'am.
91.
Yes, ma'am.
6.
Yes, ma'am.
24. 27.
Yes, ma'am.
2. Yes, ma'am.
25.
Ma'am, 09. 04.
Anyone else?
09.
05.
09.
09.
04.
55. 2. And okay, let's start the new year with Emily Dickinson. Our fourth poet from the syllabus. Do you still remember the poems of Walt Whitman, Mr. Pound, and William Carlos Williams? Or like forgotten? Forgotten. Don't forget the poems or the literary pieces that you have read before, because when you will read a new literary piece, it could be a poem or a novel or a short story, there are many elements that you can draw from the other pieces. You can make a connection between all the literary pieces that you read and you are reading now. So, Emily Dickinson, she is one of the major poets of American literature. She is one of the 19th century poets, and you have heard her name, right? She is a very familiar name in the area of literature. Emily Dickinson. There were familiar with even if you haven't read the poems. For example, Emily Dickinson, she is one of them. Sylvia Plath is one of those poets. We know the names. They are the famous American female poets. And it's your duty to read about Emily Dickinson's biography from the internet or the other sources. Read about her life. She lived a very secluded life. A very alienated life within the household. And Emily Dickinson wrote a lot of poems, and probably 8 or 10 poems were published during her lifetime. 8 or 10, probably 10 poems. Her first volume was published 4 years after her death. And when Dickinson wrote the poems, she didn't give any title to the poems. All the poems are untitled. So when the publishers published the volumes after her death, they numbered the poems. If you go through, do you have the numbers on the sheet that you have?
Yes, ma'am.
So there are some numbers, for example, 2, 1, 4. We start with I taste liquor never brewed. This is poem number 214. This is 1.216. So the poems are numbered by the editors when they published the volumes. So while writing about the poems, since there is no specific title, you can use either the number or or the first line of the poem. The first line is also used as a title. So if you talk about poem number 214, you can write 214, 1214, or you can just write I tasted liquor never brewed as the title of the poem. You can use both. So I think it's better to use the first line, right? Because we might forget the numbers. Even I cannot remember the numbers. So it's easier to remember the first line. So identify the poem. And if you go through some of her poems, have you read any of her poems before in your first semester in literature or in any other courses? If you just go through some of the poems, you will find 3 distinctive features of her writing. For example, most of her poems are written in quatrains. Also, there are some poems where you will find 3-line stanza, but most of her poems are written in quatrains. You will find 4 lines. You will find several stanzas written in quatrain. That is one specific aspect of Dickinson's writing. Another very specific feature of her writing is the use of dash. You will find lots of dashes instead of comma or full stop. Reason unknown. When her poems were discovered after her death and those were published, there was no other diary or any other notes that might give the readers or the publishers some insights into her poetic view, or why she wrote about these things, what actually she wanted to mean by writing these poems. There were no such explanations. So this feature of Dickinson's poetry makes it easy for the readers as well as difficult for the readers. It's difficult because sometimes you might feel confused what she actually meant by using the lines or by using this speaker or this subject matter. It becomes very difficult because there is no other explanation provided by the poet herself. And it's easier because now you can use your poetic and your critical mind to explain the lines on your own. Sometimes we do not care what the poet actually meant by writing the lines. We use our own views to explain it, to interpret it. So that's how it's easy as well as it's difficult. So that is another feature of her writing, the use of dashes, lots of dashes as the punctuation mark instead of full stop or comma or the other. And in many of her lines, in many of her poems, you will find capitalization. Usually the first letter of the sentence that is capitalized. The poets usually capitalize the first letter, right? The first word, the first letter, but you will find random capitalization in her poems. Again, reason is unknown, but it is possible that probably she wanted to emphasize those words. That's why these are capitalized. It's possible that the words that are capitalized, these words contain some specific meaning. Those words are very important to the speaker, to the poet. And in many of our poems, if you go through the rhyme scheme, you will find a specific rhyme that is slant rhyme. If you just, today we will read poem number 214, I taste a liquor never brewed. If you look at the poem, in slant rhyme, usually the second line rhymes with the fourth line. But there is a difficulty. The two lines, second line and fourth line, the rhymes are similar but not exactly identical. For example, the second line, part, and the fourth line ends with apropos. Sounds are similar, but these two don't actually rhyme with each other. So that is slant rhyme. You'll find a different vowel sound that will look similar, but not exactly identical. Like part and alcohol and then dew and blue, door and more, almost similar, the same sound. Run and sun, these are also same sound. Come in. So that is another feature of many of her poems that you'll find this use of slant rhyme. And Dickinson's another feature, Dickinson's poems have this first person point of view. You will find I in her poems. There is a speaker. There is a narrator, speaker or narrator, whatever you call it, or the poetic persona. There is this I, just like Whitman's Song of Myself. The speaker is present here. So if you go through Dickinson's poems, you will find different types of subjects that she dealt with in her poems. For example, you will find death. Death is a very prominent theme in many of Dickinson's poems. There is one poem on your syllabus, it is I Felt a Funeral in My Brain. That is also somehow related to death. There is another one, I Died for Beauty. That is also related to death. There are many poems where you will find death, but a different notion of death. And when you will read Sylvia Plath, again you will find this idea of death, and there you can compare these two female poets. And they are dealing with this specific theme of death and life, and how different they were. So when you will go through Dickinson's poems, since there is no explanations, it is difficult to understand what this I in the poem tries to convey, whether it is the poet herself or not. It could be what Dickinson actually thought, or it could be something else, and only the speaker of the poem thought. Like if you are a novelist, your novel contains a number of characters. There is a good character, a heroic character, there is a villainous character, there are flat characters, different types of characters. And you as the novelist, as the writer, you have a specific point of view. You have your own perspective. But your perspective will not be reflected in all the characters. Probably there is one character where we will find you, the author. Somehow this character will become a representative of the author himself or herself, but probably not all the characters. So it's difficult to understand whether the speaker is the poet or not. But it's better to keep these two separate. The poet is the poet, the speaker is the speaker. So when we talk about the poems, we will talk about the speaker. And if we find any such similarity that the speaker and the poet, they both possess, then we can say that perhaps through this certain character, this poetic persona, the poet actually tried to convey his or her thoughts. Otherwise, the speaker might say something that probably the poet himself or herself doesn't believe. That is also possible. So it's better to keep these two separate. So if we start with this poem, 214, do you have this?
Yes.
So there are 4 stanzas. And this poem is written in quatrains. I taste liquor never brewed. Followed by, instead of comma or full stop, there is a dash. I taste liquor never brewed, from tankards cooked in par. Not all the vats upon the Rhine yield such an alcohol. The poem starts with this I. This individuality, there is an individual person, I. And this person, this speaker, since the poet is female, you can use the pronoun she. So let's say she. So she tastes a liquor never brewed. So what kind of liquor is this? What kind of liquid is this? A coffee needs to be brewed, or any kind of drink that needs to be brewed. But this speaker tastes a liquor, it's never brewed. It's raw, it's pure. From tankards scooped in par. So tankards, the mug or the pot that is used to drink coffee or other kinds of drinks, from tankards scooped in par. So this speaker never or does not taste a liquor that is brewed from tankards scooped in par. Scooped in par. This is an image, a visual image. Let's not think about the other drinks. Let's just think about coffee. So when you make a cup of coffee, the foams, it looks like par, right? So from tankard scooped in par, it will look like par. Probably this speaker is not talking about coffee, is talking about some other drink that is intoxicating. But that's how it looks. That's scooped in par, there is par. And again the use of par. Par is something precious, something valuable. And the liquor that this speaker tastes, that is also very precious, very valuable. But it's not like the other liquors, other drinks. It's not made by probably the other man. It's never brewed. It's pure, it's raw. It's different. Not all the vats upon the Rhine, the river, not all the vineyards upon the Rhine yield such an alcohol. So vats, you can call it the mug that is used to drink alcohol or coffee or whatever it is. So not all the vats upon the Rhine yield such an alcohol. It's very different. And this drink, it is not collected from any of these vineyards near the Rhine, that river, that place that is famous for producing beer and alcohol. So the drink that this speaker tastes, it doesn't seem like that is found in this world, in any shop. And then the second stanza, inebriate of air, am I, and debauchee of dew. Her word choice, inebriate of air. Now you will find some characteristics of that specific drink. Inebriate of air, she is intoxicated. Am I, and debauchee of dew. So air and dew, these are the elements of nature. If you go through the explanations, definitely you will look at the explanations that is available on the internet. You will find one interpretation of the poem, that is the appreciation of nature. The drink that she is mentioning here, the liquor that she tastes or tasted, that is nature, the beauty of nature, of the natural elements. This air, this dew, and how she tastes it, inebriate of air, she is intoxicated with the natural elements, the beauty of nature. She is debauchee of dew, like she gets sensual pleasure from this beauty of nature. That's the drink. Nature is the drink. The beauty of nature is the drink that she tastes. That is not prepared by the human beings. Probably that is divine. Reeling through endless summer days from inns of molten blue. So reeling through endless summer days. Summer days, the beautiful season. The season when nature is full of natural beauty. The summer days. So reeling. She is kind of unstable from all those shrinking. Reeling through endless summer days from inns of molten blue. So this person is at an inn where she is drinking beer or alcohol or wine or any kind of drink that is molten blue. This molten blue, you can connect it with the sky, the blue sky. From inns of molten blue. So perhaps here two things are important. One is this act of drinking. You can take it metaphorically. One is this act of drinking and the other is the drinking place, the inn of molten blue. That is nature, the part of nature. Probably when she looks at the sky, she's surrounded by that blue sky. And this act of drinking, perhaps this indicates exploring the beauty of nature or experiencing the beauty of nature. That is the act of drinking. And this person is enchanted by the beauty of nature. And that's what the speaker is trying to convey through these images. This poem is also full of images. You can imagine the visual. When landlords turn the drunken bee. There are many figures of speech in this poem. When landlords. Do you see landlords? A special emphasis is given here by using the quotation marks. Landlords. When landlords turn the drunken bee. Landlords, perhaps the owner of the inn, the drinking place, the bar, probably the owner or the bartender who serves the drinks. When landlords turn the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door. So there is another image. So the drunken bee, the bee is drunk. How? From the nectar collected from the flower. When the landlord turned the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door, perhaps the season is over, time is over. So now the landlords turn the drunken bee. Foxgloves, one kind of plant that contains flower, purple flowers, from where the bees drink nectar. So the bees' drinking time is over. When butterflies renounce their drums. The butterflies, drums, this is another kind of liquor, one kind of drink. Renounce their drums, I shall but drink the more. So even when the time is over, there is probably no more beauty in the nature. Probably now this is winter, not summer anymore. But I shall drink the more. The speaker will not stop drinking. She will keep drinking. That much intoxicated she is. And here we can connect it with another poem, that is Victorian poem, Ulysses. Tennyson's Ulysses. Do you have Victorian poetry in this semester? Have you read the poem? Do you have Ulysses?
Yes.
So there is a line, I will drink life to the lees. There is a very famous line. You can connect it here. And then the last line of Ulysses. To strive to seek, to find, and not to yield. This unyielding nature. And this speaker has this unyielding nature. I shall but drink the more. And then the last stanza. Till seraphs swing their snowy heads. Seraphs, the angels, swing their snowy heads. So here we get this idea that the summer season is over. Now this is winter. Because the seraphs, they have their snowy heads. It indicates winter. And saints to windows run to see the little tippler leaning against the sun. So this speaker, she cannot stand properly because of the alcohol or the drink that she had. So this is little tippler. The speaker is this little tippler. This little tippler is leaning against the sun. And in between the sun, there is this use of dash. She could have just written leaning against the sun without using this dash in between the and sun. But there is this pause and then sun. So usually as a symbol, sun is something very powerful, right? Sun is very powerful. It indicates power. It indicates light. And this earth, all the species, human being, everything depends on the sun for this light. So the sun is very powerful. And this little tippler, this person is leaning against the sun. Somehow she is making a connection with the sun. Probably she is thinking that she is as powerful as the sun. She is taking the sun as the support as she is leaning against the sun. And when the speaker talks about seraphs, still seraphs swing their snowy heads and saints to windows run. Seraphs and saints, when they saw this little tippler, this drunk person leaning against the sun, they are surprised. Probably they are shocked too. And they ran to the windows to see the speaker. And why are they surprised? Probably because of her audacity, her courage. So now, if we try to interpret the lines in our own ways, there is this one interpretation that this poem is about appreciating the beauty of nature. It's about the nature. And how you will look at the little aspects of nature and you will find it pleasant and very much charming. You will appreciate that. At the same time, as the poem develops from the third stanza, the last two stanzas, these two stanzas tell us more about the speaker and the characteristics of the speaker. When she declares that I shall but drink the more, I will not stop. And this act of drinking, that can indicate her life, her choices, that she will do whatever she wants and she will not stop. Nobody can stop her. It also tells us about this idea of freedom. She has this freedom. She can get intoxicated whenever she wants. No one can stop her. And the angels, they are surprised, probably they are shocked, seeing the audacity of this person. Now, you can interpret in two different ways. If you keep the speaker and poet separate from each other, and if you use the pronoun he, usually we use the pronoun he to indicate the mankind, right? But this he indicates both man and women, the humankind in general. So you can talk about mankind, men, or if you use she, you can specifically talk about women, since our poet is a woman. So if you talk about women, if you use the pronoun she, the poem gives us another explanation, that this poem is about the freedom that women needs or deserves. And now, let's connect it with the other poems. Ezra Bound, The Garden. That woman was afraid to attain that freedom. She was not free. She was born into a wealthy family, married into a wealthy family, but she was not free. She was afraid to cross the boundary. She was afraid of the wall. And here the speaker, if it's a she, female, she is saying, I shall but drink the more. Whatever life offers me, gives me, I will drink it till the end. I will see till the end. And I will not stop. That gives us another view. And then she is that much hopeful or audacious, or the power that she attains through the strength of her mind, that even the angels are amazed, surprised, and when she is leaning against the sun, perhaps she is declaring herself as powerful, as strong as the sun. These angels, probably they did not think of this little tippler, this strong person, to show that much power. But she did that. Because she cannot be stopped. And here, if you dive deep, and if you try to connect it with the society, again you can go back to The Garden, also the other poem, Portrait of the Lady. The angels, the seraphs. You can take the seraphs or the saints as the people in the society, the powerful people, the patriarchs, who set the rules, some distinctive rules, specific rules for women. If you read the poem from a feminist perspective, if you read it from that perspective, then this interpretation is possible. You can read a poem from different theoretical perspective. So feminism is one of those. So if you take it as a feminist poem, then it gives us that idea. These saints, they are the respected people, because they are the religious people, the saints and seraphs, the high angels, high-ranked angels. Those are the high-ranked peoples in the society. So they set the boundaries, and this woman, she is ready to break the boundaries. And this is her proclamation, that she is free and she will keep drinking. So if you take it as a feminist poem, then you can go with this interpretation. And if you just take the speaker as a speaker who is a representative of the humankind, not specifically women, still it gives us another sense that the seraphs, the angels, could be those people who try to limit your actions, put some limitations, some boundaries or restrictions. So the themes that you will find here, the first one, nature, love for natural elements, appreciation for natural beauty, and then this idea of freedom, idea of living the life to the fullest, to explore it, to leave no stone unturned, to attain your goals, and to stick to your decisions. And then from feminist perspective, there is another angle that this woman, she cannot be stopped, she cannot be restricted. poem gives us several images. If you read the poem, if you try to visualize the images, that a little tippler leaning against the sun, you can imagine it. That's this woman. She's leaning against the sun. And then the saints, the angels, they are rushing towards the window to have a look at her. And then this air, the mention of air and dew, and the capitalization. Inebriate of air, this air it is capitalized. Dew is capitalized. Debauchee of dew. Debauchee is capitalized. Dew is capitalized. From inns of molten blue. Molten blue, that is also capitalized. So these specific words are important because these words give us an image of nature, but there are some other meaning behind the words. When it is air or dew, the natural elements, when you are enjoying the nature, you are not only enjoying the nature, you are enjoying your life, the life that you have on this earth. So as long as you are alive, you will keep enjoying that. Everything is part of your experience. When you look at nature, that is you are experiencing nature. So this air, this dew, the endless summer days, you are appreciating the nature, you are living your life in a beautiful way. And when landlords turn the drunken beat, landlords, you can also connect this landlords with the seraphs and saints. These give us kind of similar ideas. When there are landlords who will stop the bee from collecting more honey, this speaker will not stop there. So she will achieve what she wants to achieve. She will but drink the more. She will live life to the fullest. So that's it. So it doesn't matter what Emily Dickinson wanted to say or wanted to convey. We have different theories to incorporate, to use here to come up with our own interpretations. So this poem, it can be read from the feminist perspective. Do you have any other thoughts regarding this poem? Or any other interpretations? Yes.
Does this poem encourage us
This
to
poem?
enjoy the nature, like by drinking intoxication? Or else,
I didn't understand.
does this poem encourage us to enjoy
Encourage-
the nature by drinking alcohol or intoxication?
Yes, this poem definitely encourages you to enjoy the nature, to experience the nature, but these words like inebriated or debauchee, this intoxication, these words are used to indicate the intensity of your feeling. So when you are drunk, when you are intoxicated, you cannot think straight. Nothing will matter to you. So that's the state of mind of this speaker. When she enjoys natural beauty, she cannot think of anything else. So that's why she used these words. Probably. Since we're not sure why. So these words like intoxication, this inebriate, debauchee, these words are used to indicate the intense feeling, the level of feeling, the extent. Instead of these words, if you use some light words, probably you will not feel in the same way. Feelings and emotions have different stages, right? So when you will use this image of drinking alcohol with exploring nature, that makes it very intense. You're not thinking of anything else, morality or other things. You will just concentrate on this only one act, that is drinking. So that's how you will look at nature, you will appreciate nature. That's how you should live your life. So that could be one kind of encouragement that this poem gives us. Do you have anything to share? Okay, anything else? So this poem, and see the contrast between this poem and Ezra Pound's this famous imagist poem, in the station of the metro, the two lines. Both of the poems tell us, not only these poems but also the Red Wheelbarrow. These poems tell us to look at the other things surrounding us. It could be nature, beautiful nature, not only the flowers and butterflies, the other things also. This little drop of dew, you'll find beauty there. If you just look at, if you bend your head and look at this dew drop, you'll find beauty there, this intoxicating beauty. And again, at a metro station, there is also something to observe. When we look at a red wheelbarrow, it is also the observation. So there is a connection. But there are differences also. So this poem by Dickinson, the observation that we find here to look at nature, this encouragement, it is very conventional. We are familiar with this kind of observation, right? The appreciation of natural beauty, that is very common in literature, in poem. But the other poets, the wheelbarrow, the metro station, the coast-like faces, these are very unconventional. So there is a difference. But there is one similarity. In all these poems, the speaker is an observer. In those two poems, the speakers observe the trivial things that we usually do not notice, and those poems tell us to notice those things, that these are also worthy of notice. And this poem is a much more conventional one in terms of the theme, that it talks about beauty, natural beauty, which is a very common theme in many of the poems. But how the poet conveys her feelings by using this act of drinking, that is unconventional. That's how you should appreciate the nature. Just like a drunk person, intoxicated person. Okay. Shall we read one more poem? These are short poems. You should have more poems, on your syllabus. এত ছোট সিলেবাস হয় না। আমরা তো 6টা বইটি পড়ছি। 4টা বই পড়লে এটা হচ্ছে এক মাসে আপনাদের সিলেবাস কভার করতে পারবেন। Attendance. Very short syllabus. One by one. 70. 54.
Simon,